Okay, good.
So the hippies influenced me in my thinking and taught, gave me another view of the Vietnam War and what was going on. I also went over to the Civil Rights March that was happening at San Francisco State University nearby. A delegation of us from City College went over one day. And this was at a time when the Black Students Union and Asian students and Latino students were talking a lot about going back and finding our histories and learning more about our identities and where we came from and the different cultural things that were not being taught in standard American courses. There was, American history, and there was, quote, world history, unquote, which really was mostly just white American history and white European culture and history. They were just passing references to, Africa or Asia or China or India or the Middle East or any of these other places. The important people were always viewed as being the white Europeans. And that's not reality. Reality is people all over the world were really doing a lot of great things throughout all of human history, going back to prehistoric times. I took a course in African history actually taught at City College by a Chinese who was not, who presented a view of African history that's very different from what we were taught previously in classes. And this was happening at San Francisco State University, where they're demanding more culturally appropriate courses and history of Black Africa. There were great civilizations in Black Africa. At one time, those high civilizations were as advanced as anything in China, India, Egypt, or anywhere else in Europe. There was a time, thousands of years ago, when the ancient Silk Road actually ran from China and India to Black Africa, Southern Africa, rather than to Europe. It was only centuries later that Europe became advanced enough that China traded with them through the Silk Road. This history isn't taught in conventional American history or world history. So there was a lot of protests at San Francisco State College, and there were riots there. The riot police were called in, and I went over there with a delegation from San Francisco City College once, and we saw the riot police standing there with 3-foot billy clubs, black leather jackets, jack boots, helmets, helicopters overhead, snipers on the roof. And that was a wake-up call for me. I remember thinking, in ROTC, I got very interested in military stuff when I was in high school, and I read a lot of books even outside of our curriculum. And I read books on riot control tactics, for example. All of a sudden, I saw those tactics being used against us, college students. And that gave me, a real wake-up call as to, what do we stand for? What are we doing? And I got hold of the Pentagon Papers, which gave a very different view of the Vietnam War than what American politicians were talking about. But after being in City College for about 2 years, I got a draft notice because I was not taking a full load, and I decided and at that point I decided that I didn't want to kill anybody, so instead of just joining the Army and becoming a regular infantryman, I decided I would join the medics. So I volunteered to get into the medics, thinking that then at least, I wouldn't have to kill anybody. I'd be patching people up rather than killing them. What actually happened was, because I was just a regular medic, not a conscientious objector medic, my status was the same as any other soldier. I went through regular basic training, was given all the standard weapons training, and practicing how to kill people and all that stuff. And then in medic school, we were taught that medics are one of the 3 most valuable men in a rifle platoon, that actually the officer, the radio man, and the medic are the most important people in a rifle platoon. And the medic is important because he patches people up and keeps the platoon fighting. Without him, fighting morale would go down and the platoon would become dysfunctional. So we were taught that we were actually contributing more to the war effort as medics than we would have if we had been regular infantrymen. At the same time, our sergeants and our instructors who had been in Vietnam and had come back from Vietnam were telling us in private conversations not to go over there. They were talking about atrocities happening against innocent civilians, just like the peace movement the hippies had told us about.